this is Scott, and it's time to ask ourselves, does this thing really work? But seriously, recommended by Guarino, this is the Vinyl Flat, a device that is supposed to be able to make an album that is so warped it's unplayable, playable. Doesn't guarantee to completely flatten the record, but it does guarantee to make it a warped record playable once again. So this was given to me as a Christmas gift, and weighs a ton. So just going to go ahead and show you guys how to use it, and we'll see if it actually works or not. So here we go.
Okay, so what we have here is a record with a fairly considerable warp on it to the point where it barely plays. I'm going to give this one a shot in the Vinyl Flat and see if it works. But before we do, let me show you how warped this record actually is. It does play, but just barely. It kind of jumps, as you can see. So there you go. Doesn't really play. It kind of skips actually. So it's a fairly considerable warp on a record that is in otherwise mint condition. So we'll see. I'm going to put it into the Vinyl Flat now. We'll see if it fixes it or not. Okay, so here we are in my kitchen, and here is the Vinyl Flat. And according to the instructions, it comes with two little things on the top here, and you have to use the smaller of them when you put it in the bag, because the heat source has to be sitting on top of it, and the other one is a big ball and it puts the heat source too far away. But it's basically two fairly heavy plates. They're, you know, pretty heavy, and you have to put it on a surface they say that is non-porous, like a countertop, which is why I'm in my kitchen, because it does get warm. So anyhow, here we have our warped record that I showed you spinning earlier, that has the big jump on it because it is so warped. We're going to put it on the Vinyl Flat, and there's basically these, between the two, there's these two little felt looking things. You have to put it in between the two felt things, and you also have to make sure it's clean, and of course this is not. So
are we pausing?
So we're going to pause and we'll be right back.
Go.
Okay, sorry about that delay, but now the record is nice and clean, and just set it on the Vinyl Flat, put the other felt on top, the heavy metal portion on the top with the label out, and then you have to put the screw on nice and tight, but not over tight. According to the instructions, if you over tighten it, you can break the record or strip the Vinyl Flat. But I can't get it on at all, of course, because we're shooting a video. There it goes. All right. So there we go. Now the record is inside. I'm going to sit here on the stove, which is a great place to put a record. And this is the heat bag that you put inside of it. It does not have an on and off switch, so you just have to keep it plugged in when you're ready to use it. You plug it in here, plug it in the wall. There's a Velcro front, and you just slide it inside. And then firmly secure it. Make sure it's on a flat surface. Set your timer for, see now the Vinyl Flat tells you, depending on what the grams of the vinyl are, how long you should basically cook it for, but it suggests trying it for 2 hours first. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a 2-hour window, and we'll come back and we'll double check it and see if it's any better after 2 hours. So I'll set the timer for 2 hours. You can come over and take a picture of the 2 hours when I get there.
When you get there, you're there.
All right, 2 hours. So there we go. So we'll see you guys in about 2 hours. See ya. Okay, so it's been 2.5 hours actually since I put the record in to the Vinyl Flat and put it into the heat bag, and I'm now going to pull it out. According to the instructions, you need to take it out, and it should be hot, and it is. According to the instructions, it gets to about 150 degrees. I actually checked, put a thermometer in there for a little bit, and it didn't get really above like 115, 120 degrees. Of course, I don't know how well the thermometer was reading stuck outside of the bag, but it is pretty warm even now. You have to let it cool for a few minutes. And so yeah, we're going to let it cool for about half an hour, 45 minutes, take it out, and then we'll see what happens.
Go.
Okay, so the vinyl flat is now cool. It's been cooling for about 45 minutes. It's room temperature, so we're going to go ahead and open it up and give it a test and see if the first 2.5 hours that we left it in there worked. According to the instructions, it could take up to 4 hours, so you may have to do it more than one time to get it completely flat. But we'll take a look and find out. So. So there it is. We'll take it into the other room and find out. Okay, so we're back in my music room and we're going to give it a shot and see if this thing is flat or not. It doesn't look completely flat to me, but does look flatter, so let's find out what we got. Let's see, we got side one, which is where I was before, and I can tell you right now it's not completely flat. I can see it as it's rolling, so. Nope. Nope. So the first test revealed it hasn't worked. So we're gonna have to try it again because it doesn't look like there's any improvement whatsoever. And this is actually the second record I've tried. The first record I tried didn't get any better after multiple attempts. So far the vinyl flat is not impressing me much, but we'll give it another try. The instructions do say it could take up to 4 hours. And I did speak to another VC member who has one of these, and he said he's left them in there for many hours, and that they have worked. So, yeah, so far, not working like the instructions say, or at least not as easy as they make it sound, because this one is still warped, still unplayable, even after 2.5 hours of cooking in the bag. Okay, so we cooked the record in the vinyl flat for a total of 6 hours this time. Rather than the 2 we tried it the first time, which didn't seem to affect it enough to make it playable. And we'll give it another test right now and see if it works. So sorry if the camera's going to be a little shaky. I'm doing this by myself this time. Well, it looks like it's flatter and it's playable, but I do hear some noise that wasn't there before. May have cooked it just a little too long, but I wasn't too worried about it. This record was unplayable before. As you can see, the needle has a little bit of a shimmer to it. It kind of like goes back and forth. But best I can tell, the vinyl flat did work. This record was previously unplayable, and it did flatten it out quite a bit, to the point where it's now playable. It sounds fairly good. Like I said, the quiet part had a little bit more noise than I remember having, but otherwise, yeah, it's playing. So there you go. I guess the vinyl flat does really work. So I'm sure with a little more practice and learning a little more about it, I'll do even better at it on the next one. So there you have it. Okay, so there you have it. The vinyl flat. It does work. Doesn't work exactly how the instructions tell you at first. Does take a little longer. In my particular case, I actually contacted the company to tell them it didn't work using the 2 hours that it originally said to, or the 2.5 hours or 3 hours, and they straight up told me in the email that 2 hours is a low estimate, so that people don't wreck their records, and some records may be able to be fixed that way, but most records are going to take 4 to 6 hours.
in the heat bag. That's not if you use this in the oven. And if you use this thing without the oven, it's months. And even then, it's not guaranteed it's going to completely flatten it out. But not bad. I mean, you know, I took a record that's a Metal Blade album that I've had that was in otherwise perfect condition, other than the fact that it was warped from being sealed for 30 years, and put it in here, left it in here for about 6-7 hours, and sure enough, it fixed it. It's playable, and there you have it. So that's all for this edition. God bless. Stay strong.
From limb, down a block, roam about, amputate, what does it